What if the biggest lie in From was never the monsters? What if the real deception has been standing in front of us since the very first season, smiling, dressed in white, always appearing exactly when someone is about to make a life-changing decision? Because the more you study this town, the harder it becomes to believe that the boy in white is its savior. What if he's actually the reason nobody ever truly escapes? Think about that for a second. Every character trusts him because he looks harmless.
He's calm.
He never threatens anyone. He never raises his voice. He looks like hope itself. But that's exactly why he's dangerous. The monsters wear smiles to hide their true nature. So why couldn't something even more powerful wear innocence? And here is what changes everything. The boy in white never actually defeats the evil. He never destroys the creatures. He never breaks the curse. He only moves people from one place to another, almost like someone managing the game instead of ending it. That is a completely different role. And once you see that pattern, every appearance of the boy in white starts feeling less like a rescue and more like a controlled intervention. That's not the real mystery. The real mystery is why he always appears at the exact moment the town needs someone to make a specific choice. Look at what the show is actually telling us. The boy in white doesn't spend time with everyone. He chooses people. Victor,
Ethan,
Tabitha,
Sarah.
Every one of these characters becomes incredibly important after meeting him. Coincidence? Or selection? Because if the town is a machine, then someone has to choose the pieces. And this is where it gets darker. Throughout the series, the town constantly manipulates perception. Roads loop forever. Trees move. Buildings appear where they shouldn't. Dreams become reality. Memories refuse to stay in the past. Nothing behaves according to normal rules. So, why have we automatically assumed the boy in white is exactly what he appears to be? The show has trained us never to trust appearances. Yet almost everyone trusts him without asking the most important question. Who does he actually work for? Notice something strange. Whenever the boy in white gives guidance, he never explains anything.
He points.
He disappears. He gives fragments instead of answers. Almost like he wants people searching, but never understanding. That isn't how someone trying to save lives behaves. That's how someone maintains a mystery. And mysteries have power. The less people know, the easier they are to control. This is the detail everyone missed. Every time someone gets close to understanding the town, something redirects them. Someone dies. A vision appears. A new mystery replaces the old one. Questions multiply faster than answers. It's almost as if the town has an immune system. Whenever someone gets close to the truth, something pushes them away. Now, ask yourself something unsettling. Who always appears during those moments of redirection? The boy in white. Maybe not every single time, but often enough to notice a pattern. Victor's entire understanding of survival revolves around him. Ethan immediately believes him. Tabitha follows his guidance into one of the biggest turning points in the story. None of these encounters provide complete truth. Instead, they create another layer of uncertainty. And uncertainty is exactly what keeps the town alive. But here's what changes everything. What if the boy in white doesn't represent hope? What if he represents balance? Think about ecosystems. A predator doesn't kill every animal. A shepherd doesn't free every sheep. Someone maintaining balance allows both sides to survive. Enough humans stay alive. Enough monsters continue hunting. The cycle never ends. That would explain something fans have debated for years. Why hasn't the town completely wiped everyone out? The monsters clearly could have killed far more people over the years. Instead, there are pauses, patterns, moments where entire groups survive much longer than logic suggests.
Why?
Maybe because extinction isn't the goal. Maybe maintenance is. The town needs survivors. The town needs fear. The town needs belief. And someone has to make sure those ingredients never disappear. Now remember Victor. Victor has survived longer than almost anyone. For years.
Decades.
Long enough to witness entire generations disappear. Long enough to forget parts of his own childhood. Long enough to become living evidence that survival isn't always freedom. Everyone assumes Victor survived because the boy in white protected him. But what if we're looking at that backwards? What if Victor wasn't protected because he was special? What if he was kept alive because he was necessary? There's a huge difference. One is kindness. The other is purpose. Victor carries memories nobody else has. He remembers previous cycles. He preserves drawings. He passes information to new arrivals. He's almost like a living archive. And every system needs an archive. Without memory, the experiment ends. Without survivors, no one can continue the cycle. So perhaps the boy in white didn't save Victor. Perhaps he preserved him. Just like someone preserves an important document. Because documents don't belong to themselves. They belong to the system protecting them. And if that's true, then every act of kindness we've seen from the boy in white suddenly looks very different. Not compassion, management, not rescue, maintenance. And if we've misunderstood his purpose since the beginning, then maybe we've also misunderstood the town itself. But if the boy in white is maintaining the cycle instead of breaking it, then one question becomes impossible to ignore. Why does he always arrive after people have already suffered? He never stops the crash. He never warns newcomers before they enter the town. He never prevents a massacre. He never stands between the monsters and their victims. Instead, he appears only when the damage has already been done. That timing feels intentional. A true savior tries to prevent tragedy. The boy in white waits until tragedy creates the exact conditions he needs. And this is where it gets darker. Think about every major turning point in the series. The town doesn't reward hope. It rewards transformation through pain. Jim becomes obsessed only after losing certainty. Tabitha begins seeing impossible things only after her entire reality collapses. Jade doesn't start chasing answers until the town destroys his logic. Boyd changes forever after watching people die under his leadership. Even Victor became who he is because everyone he loved disappeared. Pain isn't just something that happens in the town. Pain creates the next version of every character. Now, ask yourself another dangerous question. Who always appears once that transformation begins? The boy in white. Not before. After. Almost as if he is checking whether the process is complete. Look at what the show is actually telling us. The boy in white rarely gives information that solves a mystery. Instead, he gives just enough guidance to push someone toward another impossible choice. That's a very different job. Imagine walking through a maze. If someone wanted to rescue you, they would show you the exit. If someone wanted to keep you inside, they would simply point toward another hallway. You would feel like you're making progress, but you would never leave. That is exactly how the boy in white operates. Every answer leads to another question. Every path reveals another secret. Every discovery opens another locked door. The audience celebrates each breakthrough. But has anyone actually escaped because of him? Not permanently. Not completely. And that's the detail everyone missed. The boy in white doesn't create freedom. He creates movement. Movement keeps people hopeful. Hope keeps people trying. Trying keeps the cycle alive. Because hopeless people stop playing. Hopeful people never do. But here's what changes everything. The town itself behaves almost like a living story. Stories need characters. Stories need conflict. Stories need mystery. And, most importantly, stories need someone to guide the plot without revealing the ending. Could that be the boy in white's true role? Not a hero. Not a villain. A storyteller inside the story. Notice how often children become connected to the deepest mysteries. Victor as a child. Ethan after arriving. The ghostly children calling to Tabitha. The repeated imagery of innocence surrounded by unimaginable horror. Children represent beginnings. Possibility. A future that hasn't been written yet. The boy in white looks like a child because children naturally earn trust. No one expects manipulation from innocence. But the show has repeatedly warned us that appearances are meaningless. The monsters smile like friendly neighbors. Normal houses become prisons. Safe roads become traps. Daylight offers comfort, yet nobody truly leaves. So, why would innocence be the one appearance we never question? Maybe that's exactly why the boy in white looks the way he does. Not because he is a child, because he needs people to believe he couldn't possibly be dangerous. And this is where another pattern begins to emerge. Notice how little emotion he actually shows. People describe him as kind.
But is he?
Go back and think carefully. He rarely comforts anyone. He doesn't grieve with the survivors. He doesn't express fear. He doesn't celebrate victories. He almost always speaks with the same calm expression. Almost detached. Almost observational. Like someone watching an experiment unfold exactly as expected. That's incredibly unsettling. Because detached observers don't usually belong to the people suffering. They belong to the ones running the experiment. Now think about Victor again. Victor trusted the boy in white longer than anyone else. Yet even Victor doesn't fully understand him. That should bother us. If your oldest ally still cannot explain who you are, then maybe you were never an ally. Maybe you were simply the longest-running mystery. And here's another piece of evidence hiding in plain sight. The boy in white never asks for trust. He simply acts as if trust already exists. That's psychological conditioning. When someone appears calm during chaos, people naturally follow them. Authority doesn't always come from power. Sometimes it comes from certainty. Everyone else in the town is confused. The boy in white never is. He always seems to know exactly where to go, exactly whom to visit, exactly when to appear.
How?
Nobody asks, because everyone assumes knowledge equals goodness. But those two things are not the same. The monsters know the town. The voices know the town. Whatever controls the trees knows the town. Knowledge alone doesn't make someone trustworthy. It only proves they are connected to whatever is happening. And that connection may be far deeper than anyone realizes. What if the boy in white isn't surviving inside the town? What if he belongs to it? Not trapped. Not cursed. Not searching for escape. Completely at home. If that's true, then every encounter we've interpreted as guidance becomes something far more disturbing. He's not helping lost people. He's making sure they reach the next chapter exactly when they're supposed to. Which means every impossible coincidence, every perfectly timed appearance, every mysterious warning, may not be acts of salvation at all. They may be the careful adjustments of someone making sure the story never reaches its ending. Because if the cycle finally breaks, the one person with the most to lose
May not be the monsters.
It may be the boy in white himself. But if the boy in white truly belongs to the town, then we've been asking the wrong question all along. Fans have spent years asking, is he good or evil? But maybe those words don't even apply. Because what if he's something much older than either? Look at what the show is actually telling us. Every force inside the town seems to have a purpose. The monsters hunt. The faraway trees move people. The talismans create temporary safety. The voices manipulate. The visions reveal fragments of truth. Nothing exists without a function. So, why would the boy in white be different? Maybe his function was never to save anyone. Maybe his job is to preserve the system itself. And this is where it gets darker. Think about every time someone begins to challenge the rules of the town. Jade refuses to accept impossible answers and becomes obsessed with finding patterns. Tabitha searches beneath the surface, literally and emotionally, trying to uncover what the town is hiding. Boyd constantly pushes against the limits, refusing to accept that survival is enough. These characters don't simply want to live. They want to understand. Understanding is dangerous. Because every prison becomes weaker the moment its prisoners understand how it was built. That is why the town constantly replaces answers with new mysteries. And the boy in white always seems to appear at those critical moments, not to reveal the whole truth, but to redirect the search. That's not the behavior of a rescuer. That's the behavior of a guardian. But here's what changes everything. What if the monsters aren't the town's greatest defense? What if they're only the first layer? The monsters create fear. Fear keeps people inside their homes at night. But curiosity survives fear. People still investigate. People still ask questions. People still look for a way out. So the town needs something even stronger than monsters. It needs hope. Because hope is easier to control than fear. Fear makes people freeze. Hope makes them follow. And who represents hope better than the boy in white? Think about how brilliant that design would be. When fear fails, hope takes over. When monsters can't stop someone, guidance can. When violence doesn't work, trust does. That would explain why the boy in white never needs to force anyone. People choose to follow him. The prison doesn't need locked doors if the prisoners believe the guide knows the exit. This is the detail everyone missed. The boy in white never says, "I will save you." The audience fills in those words themselves. That assumption changes everything. Because if he never actually promised freedom, then maybe he never betrayed anyone. We simply misunderstood his role. Now think about Ethan. From the beginning, Ethan has been unusually connected to the town's mysteries. He sees patterns adults ignore. He believes impossible things without hesitation. Many viewers assume Ethan is being prepared to defeat the town. But what if the opposite is true? What if Ethan is being prepared to inherit something? Victor spent decades preserving memories. Ethan may be learning how to preserve the cycle itself. That possibility is terrifying, because it suggests the boy in white has been searching for a successor all along. Victor remembered the past. Ethan may shape the future. And standing quietly between them is the same mysterious child who never seems to age, never seems surprised, and never seems afraid. That isn't normal. It's deliberate. The boy in white doesn't react to the town because he already understands it. He doesn't fear the monsters because they may not be his enemies. He doesn't panic because nothing happening is unexpected to him. Almost every character in From is trying to escape. The boy in white never does. Ask yourself why. If the town is truly a prison, why is the only person who always seems calm also the only one who never looks for the exit? That question has no comfortable answer. And maybe that's exactly the point. Because the more closely you examine him, the less he resembles a trapped child, and the more he resembles someone quietly watching a system function exactly as intended. So, here's the theory that ties everything together. The boy in white is not the town's savior. He is its keeper. The monsters protect the rules through terror. The boy in white protects those same rules through trust. One hunts the body. The other guides the mind. Together, they ensure that every generation repeats the same cycle. Arrive, survive, search, hope, and ultimately become part of the town's endless story. That would explain why no victory in From ever feels complete. Every breakthrough leads to another mystery. Every escape reveals another trap. Every answer creates two more questions. Because the system was never designed to end. It was designed to continue. And if this theory is even partially true, then season May 4th be building toward the biggest reveal in the series. Not that the boy in white is secretly evil, but that the heroes have been following the town's oldest guardian from the very beginning. And if someone finally refuses to follow him, if Jade, Boyd, Tabitha, or Ethan chooses to ignore his guidance completely, would the town finally begin to collapse? Or would the boy in white reveal the side of himself we've never been allowed to see? Because sometimes the most terrifying villain isn't the one chasing you through the dark. It's the one who convinced you he was leading you toward the light.